Hey, can you see that? It's about to rain, it's gonna get dark soon. The perfect conditions for a new street photo vlog. Can you believe it? It's been a year since my very first vlog dedicated to street photography. And believe it or not, I haven't done it since. I wanted to do one when I came back to Lyon last February. February. But 2020. Well, right now in France, we are in a kind of a semi-lockdown. We are allowed to go out, but just a little bit.
Oui.
And it turns out that for my business, I have the right to do shooting, so we're going to take advantage of that. We don't know how long the next quarantine will last.
40 ans.
Hey buddy, what's up? High five, high pose. Okay, let's go. We'll start in the autumn. A first image without much interest, especially in terms of composition, which has nothing extraordinary, but at least it set up the atmosphere in terms of weather. We know what kind of light we will deal with. I liked the way this building came out. I tried to close the composition with the branches, but again, a totally banal picture. Yeah, we're just warming up, don't worry. Nice atmosphere, very gothic cinema. The problem comes from the separation between the parts in the shadow and those in the light. The shape of the wall was interesting to separate the two. I could have tried to create a more symmetrical image, but we would have lost the disturbing side of the picture obtained thanks to the unstraight lines. No, my only concern here is the border that touches the cathedral, which is disturbing for the readability. Another common image, pretty, maybe, light, color, composition, it's nice, but it doesn't tell any story. You know what, for me, would have made the picture great? It would have been to wait a little while for a person to pass by here, in the opposite direction of the arrow, maybe a little cropping, so that the reading direction would have been more horizontal than vertical, and bim, we could have got something. Too bad I lack patience. Same image, not more interesting, but you'll see that in this kind of photoshoot I just like to take pictures of textures. We'll talk about it later. Well, now it's going to be a series of uninteresting images. I'm having trouble finding my frames, I'm having trouble finding interesting subjects. Here, if you're wondering, it's a scooter that was passing by at the same time. Okay, if you want for this one, I'm willing to give it a good point for the timing, but that doesn't make it great either. Man, it's not gonna be easy tonight. Well, let's face it, so far it's kinda bad. There's nothing in my pictures, I feel like a tourist, just taking photos of everything he sees. I feel rusty, my hands are freezing. All I want to do is to go home warm, have a hot tea and binge watch all seasons of Rick and Morty again. I must say that I haven't practiced this photo genre for so long, so I feel really unskilled. It puts my motivation meter up to 0. Well, let's try to force ourselves a little more. On the docks, you have this big bike path with the lights of the city in the background. We're going to try to play a bit with motion blur. It's an effect that's going to take a lot of unsuccessful attempts before we get something right. Yeah, it's something like that we want, but the problem is that the traffic light pole cuts the image and I don't like the reading direction. Here is better. To make this kind of image, you just need to have a slow shutter speed, here I'm at 1/15th of a second, and to follow your subject trying to have the same speed as its movement. It will be sharp, the background will be in motion blur. I thought it will create an interesting scene with these two young boys walking in the night, and I asked them if they could talk to each other by turning their heads just slightly so that their masks could be seen. But in the end, yeah. And then the tree that continues here above him, very young. We arrive at the courthouse of Lyon and this great majestic building. There is surely something to do. Perhaps at the level of the basin here, try to capture some reflections. Well, okay. Here it becomes interesting. I love to have a tilt shift lens to correct distortions directly when I shoot, but the advantage of not having one is the crushing feeling you get when you're facing the enormity of the building. I love the central character who, if you take him independently, with the low-angle view, the direct look into the camera, his strong position with his shoulders open, gives him an imposing stature, and yet he looks tiny here, facing the majesty of the colonnades. A nice image here too in terms of composition on the passerelle du Palais de Justice. The symmetry is cool, cleverly broken with the silhouette, and the focus on texture rather than structure makes the image interesting.
Why do I feel so rusty? Why do I have trouble feeling motivated? Artistic practice is like sports. It's the consistency of practice that keeps you in good shape, helps you progress, and fuels the motivation. When it's been like this for a long time, you try to perform instead of focusing on just creating or recreating mechanisms. That's the trick, just practicing constantly without expecting results. I'm going to quote this great philanthropic company, which, if sometimes exploits third world children, it's only to allow us to wear these magnificent leather and plastic artworks. Just do it.
It's raining quite a bit now. Before moving forward, I'm going to cover my lenses a bit. Yeah, I know the camera is semi-tropicalized. Call me a granny if you like, but I don't leave my baby like that in the rain, okay? All good, let's go back. An image that could be very nice with the flares, the symmetry, but for lack of patience, human elements are badly managed in this picture. First, this silhouette, which hinders the closing of the image, and the center is desperately empty. This person should have been here, closer to us, or better again, have a person walking on the crosswalks. I asked this young girl to look in my direction, and the problem I have with this image is that I like it for the wrong reasons. If you analyze it, the portrait is not crazy. Okay, the lady has an expressive look, the mask gives context, the flare and the light are nice, but the mass of cars here, it's not very aesthetic. Now, there is a little something missing here. But I like it because it's portraiture, and as a portraitist, I fall right back into my comfort zone. We said we were doing urban tonight, so I'm going to quickly focus on that again before asking everyone I meet if I can photograph them to make sure I have some images I'm going to like. The pretty Jacobin fontaine. I waited for a while, but this cute little couple didn't do anything interesting except talking, so it doesn't tell a lot. I like that. I love the atmosphere due to the only source of light in the blur here from a pharmacy, hence the green. The transparent umbrella makes it stand out. Yeah, really nice. You see, we're going to make it. Patience pays. I stayed a little longer here to get this picture. I love the very old facade, in opposition to the modernist of the parking lot. The two characters going in the same direction, opposite the third one. Yeah, I love this picture.
It's starting to get better, I feel more into it. In order to fight against demotivation, you must already determine the source of it in order to provide the appropriate response. And there will be different reasons for each one. For many people, if I trust the messages you send me on Instagram, it's the competition. We have the impression that everyone is taking pictures nowadays. There are too many talented people everywhere. We compare ourselves, etc. Well, that will deserve an entire video to deconstruct this model of thought. In my case, behind the lack of practice, the feeling of being rusty, it's the stupid mentality of thinking that every time you trigger your camera, you have to produce a masterpiece. Okay, what you're doing today is probably not the best thing you will ever do in your life, and that's totally fine.
I love this image, not only for its atmosphere, the opposition between the dark side and the life and colors brought by the plants, but also for what it tells, with the look of this lady, the mask she's wearing. Yeah, very beautiful image. I stayed at the Place des Cordeliers for a little while to try to catch the traffic and pedestrians in the rain. The light and the composition are interesting, but seriously, the line of cabs behind her, no, it's not possible. Once again, we are very close to a good image. There is a real story here, a very cinematographic atmosphere, but the focus is poorly managed on our central character, and the guy on his bike should have been shifted a bit to the second third of the image to make it easier to read. Again, that's the overall flow of this photoshoot. The atmosphere is well transcribed, but the human elements are badly managed. Here our character was perfect. He's in the action, well positioned, he stands out thanks to the contrast with the ambient light, but I had the pleasant surprise to discover during the editing that the focus was on the cars in the background and not on him, as I thought during the shooting. Ouch. And usually I talk about my photo shoots, but I don't talk a lot about the editing. I don't know if you will be interested if I show you more about the way I edit the images. In addition to colorimetry, in the case of this shooting, what could be interesting is not to think about the images individually, but to bring storytelling by creating triptychs, mixing different genres like architecture and textures, etc. If seeing how I think about that and how I edit my photos is something you want to see, let me know in the comment section and I'll make a video about it.
The most important thing that will fuel your motivation is passion. Passion allows you to detach yourself from the result, or rather the expectation of results. It's not what will make things easier. It's not what will make the inertia to start something disappear. You will always have difficult moments, either because you feel like you can't do it or because you don't want to. It breaks your balls. But passion is what allows you, in hindsight, to appreciate even those moments better, to think that sometimes they're the best moments, because generally the most formative moments. It reveals something in you, it reveals something about you. Yeah, I love it when it breaks my balls. The important thing is not the treasure that you will find at the end of the movie, it's to go out and live adventures as difficult as they are.
And then we're gonna go on even more adventures after that, Morty.
My favorite pictures of today. Okay, these two I already showed you. They have a human element in the heart of the picture, so it speaks to me. And finally, in Lyon, you often find books left everywhere that people leave to offer them to anyone who falls on them. While passing by the docks, I saw this laid on a bench. The rain didn't do him any good, but I love the unlikely and poetic side of this image. I find the symbolism quite beautiful.
Okay, I'm freezing. If you want to see other moments where it breaks my balls, it's here. You have another street photo vlog somewhere. And if you want to follow my adventures, it's this way. See you, mate. Keep on creating.
Rick and Morty and their adventures, Morty. Forever and forever, 100 years.